Nearly 6 months after Nancy Guthrie disappeared from her Arizona home, a much fuller account of the first alleged ransom note has entered the public record. The message was reportedly addressed directly to her daughter. Today, co-anchor Savannah Guthrie demanded millions of dollars in Bitcoin and referred to specific details around Nancy's home. But the most important question remains unanswered. Did that message actually come from the person responsible for taking her? As of July 23, 2026, Nancy's whereabouts remain unknown, and the FBI has not publicly declared that particular communication authentic. For verified entertainment updates without the rumors, subscribe to Startline Entertainment. The latest development began with a special episode of the Crime Junkie podcast released on July 22nd. Breaking news reporter Brianna Whitney joined host Ashley Flowers and discussed communications connected to the case. During that conversation, Whitney read what she described as the first ransom note. The message reportedly opened by telling Savannah that the sender had her mother, then claimed Nancy was frightened but would be released after payment. That public reading supplied more detail than authorities or the media had previously released. However, the podcast's disclosure should not be confused with an official FBI authentication of the document. To understand why the note matters, the timeline has to begin on the night of January 31st. Nancy Guthrie, then 84, was last seen at her residence in the Catalina foothills area outside Tucson. Her family reported her missing the following day after she failed to attend church and could not be reached. The FBI describes Nancy as a vulnerable adult who has difficulty walking, has a pacemaker, and requires daily medication for a heart condition. Those medical needs made the first hours of the search especially urgent. Investigators later recovered doorbell camera material showing a masked individual at Nancy's front entrance during the morning of her disappearance. The FBI says the person appeared to be armed and was seen tampering with the camera. Its current wanted poster describes the individual as a male approximately 5 feet 9 to 5 feet 10 inches tall with an average build and a black Ozark Trail hiking backpack. Authorities have asked the public to help identify him. Reporting from the investigation also said blood discovered near the front entrance was confirmed as Nancy's, strengthening the conclusion that she had been taken against her will. The first reported ransom communication arrived on February 2nd, one day after Nancy was reported missing. According to the newly publicized account, it demanded an initial payment of $4 million in Bitcoin by February 5th. If that deadline passed, the demand would increase to $6 million by February 9th. The sender reportedly threatened Nancy's life if the second deadline was not met and claimed there would be no negotiation. Because of the sensitive nature of that threat, the critical point is not the wording itself. It is whether forensic evidence can connect the message to the person seen at Nancy's house. The note reportedly contained two details that attracted investigators' attention. It referred to a white-banded smartwatch lying near Nancy's bed and to a damaged or non-functioning floodlight outside the house. Those references were not simply general statements that could easily have been copied from early television coverage. CBS reported that the home-specific information was one reason investigators treated the early communication seriously. But knowledge of a crime scene can be suggestive without being conclusive, particularly in a case that has generated multiple messages, tips, and attempted scams. Savannah and her siblings responded publicly during the first week of February. They asked for proof that Nancy was alive and later said their family was prepared to pay for her return. According to CBS, the family worked with the FBI on a response, but no reply came back from the email address connected with the first communication. Whether any other private contact occurred has not been publicly established. That silence created an open loop that remains central to the investigation. If the original sender was involved, why did the communication apparently stop? A second reported message complicated the case further. According to law enforcement sources cited by CBS and other news organizations, another communication arrived through media tip lines on February 6th and was traced to the same internet address as the first. That message reportedly claimed Nancy had died. No body has been publicly recovered, and neither the FBI nor the Pima County Sheriff's Department has officially confirmed Nancy's death. The message is therefore evidence investigators are examining, not a legal or medical confirmation of what happened to her. This distinction became even more important after conflicting descriptions of the ransom evidence circulated publicly. On July 2nd, the FBI told CBS that investigators had received several ransom notes. The agency said some had been determined to be illegitimate extortion attempts, while other demands might potentially be legitimate and were still being investigated. The FBI also said the case continued to be handled as a kidnapping for ransom investigation. That carefully worded statement is the clearest official position available. Some communications have been rejected, but investigators have not publicly resolved the authenticity of every early message. There is also one confirmed legal development involving a message that was not connected to the original demand. Federal prosecutors say Derek Kalela of Hawthorne, California, admitted that he called and texted members of the missing person's family on February 4th and asked about a Bitcoin transfer. On July 2nd, he pleaded guilty to 2 counts of harassment using a telecommunications device. According to the Justice Department, Kalela acknowledged that he knew about an earlier ransom demand and was trying to obtain information about the investigation. His messages should not be presented as proof that the first or second note was false. Prosecutors treated his conduct as a separate harassment case. His sentencing was scheduled for September 10th. The number of opportunistic messages has created another danger for the public. On July 13th, the Pima County Sheriff's Department warned about online posts and emails using a QR code to request money in Nancy's name. The department said it would never ask members of the public for money in connection with this or any other investigation. Anyone encountering such a solicitation was advised to ignore or report it. That warning matters because the legitimate reward system and law enforcement tip process do not require a person providing information to send money first. Savannah has continued appearing publicly while emphasizing that her family is still living with the uncertainty. When reports about the second note resurfaced in June, she used her position on Today to ask anyone with information to come forward. She said her family would not stop searching. That statement did not confirm the note's claim, and she said she was not participating in NBC's reporting on her mother's case. Her public position has remained focused on finding Nancy and encouraging someone with direct knowledge to speak. The financial rewards remain substantial. CBS reported that the Guthrie family is offering $1 million for information leading to Nancy's whereabouts. The FBI's updated wanted poster offers up to $100,000 for information leading to Nancy's location or to the arrest and conviction of anyone involved in her disappearance. The FBI is also collecting photographs, security recordings, and other digital material that might document suspicious activity in the area. Here is the start line takeaway. The July disclosure changes what the public knows about the reported wording and structure of the first ransom note. It does not change Nancy Guthrie's official status, identify the person seen on her property, or prove that the writer was responsible for her disappearance. The specific references to her home help explain why investigators considered the communication important, but specificity alone is not authentication. Digital records, forensic evidence, undisclosed scene information, and links to the surveillance subject would carry far more weight than the message's threatening language. The timing also matters. Nearly 6 months have passed, and every new public detail creates both an opportunity and a risk. It may prompt someone to recognize the sender's language, the Bitcoin activity, the backpack, or the person in the surveillance images, but it can also inspire additional false tips and extortion attempts. That is why the sheriff's scam warning and the FBI's cautious wording are as important as the details revealed on the podcast. For now, the verified summary is this. Nancy was reported missing on February 1st after last being seen at her Tucson-area home. Authorities believe she was taken against her will. An armed, masked individual was recorded near her front door, and investigators are still seeking his identity. Early messages demanded Bitcoin and included details connected to Nancy's home, but the FBI continues to investigate which communications, if any, came from the responsible person. A separate sender has pleaded guilty to harassing the family, while other possible scams remain in circulation. Nancy's location and condition have not been officially established. The most important development will not be another anonymous claim. It will be verified evidence connecting a person, vehicle, digital account, or communication to Nancy's disappearance. Until then, reports that a note claimed she died must remain described as claims, not confirmation. Anyone with direct information or relevant footage should contact the FBI at 800 call FBI, rather than posting theories or responding to anyone requesting payment online.